Okay, we'll get started now. Welcome everyone. Today's presentation is part of the Immersive Learning Research Network. And so we want to welcome you to Virtual World Education Consortium Connects Learning Communities. And I'm Valerie Hill, and my co-presenter is Becky Adams. We're both college educators. My background is teaching library science, and I was a school librarian for 20 years, and now I'm the director of the Community Virtual Library with a main branch here in Second Life. Our presentation today shares the need to tackle many obstacles that educators and learners face in virtual environments, because there are so many VR spaces. It's impossible to explore them all, let alone build high-quality learning experiences within them all. In addition, we've found, and you probably have too, that people are simply trying to reinvent the wheel without realizing what others have already accomplished. Would you type a Y in the text chat if you agree that that's happened? A lot of educators don't know what others are doing, and they just try to reinvent the wheel. Great, I'm seeing some Ys. So we've come up with some ideas to help us all partner and network across the metaverse. And you can bookmark the links that we share to access later. So I'm going to change my slide here and show you the Community Virtual Library, which recently celebrated 15 years in Second Life. And as I said, this is our main branch. Our library is overseen by information professionals, many with a Master of Library Science, and we welcome volunteer friends of the library as well. Anyone who's interested in virtual reality. Our head of reference is Sue Moon Magic. She's here today. We have volunteers to work in our beautiful library. And in addition to Second Life, the Community Virtual Library has branches in open source virtual worlds, web-based virtual worlds, and we're exploring VR environments as they emerge for education, even on VR headsets. Right now, we're up in the sky above the CVL library at the Virtual World Education Consortium Pavilion, and we'll tell you more about that as we go along. I'll turn it over to Ellie.
Thank you so much, Val. I am Becky Adams. I'm an online instructor for the University of New Mexico and recently retired after over a decade as the director for online course development there. I started in virtual worlds as a skeptic, but have been teaching here since 2009. Because there are so many virtual environments available for education, it can both be overwhelming and confusing. We have come to realize that the best way we can identify the best platforms in VR, both desktop and headset, is through our PLC, our professional learning community. Our goal today is to help you find a way to network with other educators who are exploring and researching virtual environments. Many have been here in Second Life for many years. As we consistently were reminded that information was everywhere and many people and groups were willing to meet with folks in virtual worlds, but finding them was not always easy, we decided to try to bring as much information together as possible in one simple document and then get it to as many groups and people as possible. This became the CVL Education Network Spreadsheet, and you can find it at the link in the chat. As you can see, the document shares information about weekly office hours in Second Life, web-based worlds, Kitely, OpenSim, as well as VR-capable worlds, and each are listed on their individual tabs. We also tried to include as much group information for conferences and repeating events as possible, and that has its own tab. It's the last one. As our spreadsheet states, exploration of virtual environments requires networking. If you have weekly, monthly, or yearly office hours or offerings, We would be delighted to add you to our document. We would also encourage you to advertise it as well. Right now, please contact Val or me to get your events added to the spreadsheet. Our contact information is on the document. We've tried a couple of formats and hope the spreadsheet is easy to read and that including links to where each one is happening is helpful. This is just one of the many resources we are working on to help connect and network educators in virtual environments. Over to you, Val.
We feel it is so important that we work together in multiple environments to be able to support each other through connecting and collaborating across virtual spaces. In addition to the spreadsheet for office hours, we have a virtual world database, and volunteers are helping curate virtual learning communities. You can find the link in the local chat. Sharing our work with other communities, knowing what's out there, using the CVL Virtual World Database, sharing calendars and social media, and exploring other tools like Discord and the Metaverse Library's Google group. It's a listserv for email. All of these tools help us stay connected and informed. You can pick and choose which tools work for building your own professional learning community. You've heard about it for years. One of the biggest obstacles we've heard over the years is the steep learning curve of Second Life. And the open sim worlds that are based on the same open source code, many people criticize as having a steep learning curve. How many of you have had trouble bringing educators into virtual worlds because they find them too complicated? Type a Y in chat if that's ever happened to you. I've found it difficult to convince educators to give it a try. But the beauty of these desktop VR worlds like Second Life is that we have so many tools right in the interface for productivity. Educators and students can create content themselves, which is amazing. Yet each of us has our own goals and our own skills. So it's imperative to let new educators know that they do not have to learn everything. So don't get intimidated by that interface. You don't have to do it all. Some of us like to build. Some people like to script and make things happen in the virtual environment. Some only want to teach and present and go on tours. Some mentor. Some like to plan and design environments and events. When we contribute what we enjoy, we all benefit and we keep learning. Another obstacle is that virtual worlds require fairly good graphics cards and a pretty good laptop, so accessibility can be a problem. And some schools now only are purchasing tablets or Chromebooks. One solution might be web-based worlds. You'll find individuals holding office hours in worlds like Cyber Lounge or 3D web worlds to help others navigate these, what we like to call gateway virtual worlds. No downloads necessary, no viewer needed. If you look at the second page of the CVL Education Network spreadsheet that we shared, don't forget you can add your own office hours here as a way to network, not only in Second Life and open sim worlds, but also in web-based virtual worlds. Other web-based VR platforms are emerging, like Frame VR, which is from Verbella. And you can see my Frame VR room, web-based, in the local text chat. Take a look later. It's essential that we document progress in virtual environments to help other educators and learners in the future. So, are you ready to explore? Finding your niche in virtual worlds takes time. And the goal of the Community Virtual Library is to help educators, librarians, and lifelong learners navigate these environments so they can find the best match for their needs. Of course, we mentioned you cannot possibly master all of them, but we feel it's important for us all to be aware of the virtual environments that are out there as they continue to expand and evolve. So we're wondering, how can we help you explore? We use our office hours to make appointments, or we take drop-ins. And we're also moving toward hypergridding, and I'll turn it over to Ellie to talk about that.
So many of you know when Second Life made their code open source, many new virtual environments arose. Some of these are very inexpensive and offer spaces that are more private than Second Life. CVL has built a Hypergrid Resource library in both Kitely and Avacon. You can share your own OpenSim World content at the CVL Hypergrid Resource Library. You will find the contact information for our curator on the in the chat. I'm sorry. She is Bethany Winslow. She is SJSU instructional designer, and you can find her at bethanywinslow@sjsu.edu if you'd like to email her. We also have other branches, a digital citizenship museum and an antique pattern library in Kitely. And now we are moving into virtual reality worlds. My university was fine with me teaching in Second Life, but they also wanted me to help the students explore the opportunities of virtual reality. You don't have to be an expert, just give them a taste of what VR offers, I was told. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of putting on a headset and exploring all that's out there with VR, but to me, these pictures are perfect to give you a taste of that, in my opinion. These are similar examples of my experience as well. And as our slide shows, one thing we realize is that virtual worlds are also virtual reality, only without the headset. In fact, we now believe there is room for both desktop and headset VR for specific purposes. I was so excited to find VCARA, the Virtual Center for Archives and Records Administration, just as they partnered with CVL to form the Exploders Club to check out different VR worlds each month. You'll definitely enjoy how they got their name, the Exploders, as well. Originally, the VR Explorers decided to visit virtual platforms monthly, and there was an email typo that called the group VR Exploders. That humorous typo became the group's name, as VR is exploding around us. And this is how I discovered Verbella. These amazing educators who had enjoyed virtual worlds for many years began to explore the VR headset worlds out there. And they created a survey to find what educators were looking for and began gathering data about the many VR options. They are looking at many elements such as ease of entry, navigation, as well as if headsets are required or is there a desktop application as well. If you are one of those interested brave souls, please join us on the third Friday evening of each month at 5 p.m. Pacific time. We believe there is definitely room for both VR headset and VR desktop environments. Back to you, Val.
Thanks, Ellie. As you likely know, students often depend on office hours to meet with their instructor. Educators also enjoy finding others, doing what we do or what we want to do, and spending some time with them to get information and support. For this reason, we have labeled our regular times when we're open to meet in Second Life or other virtual spaces, office hours. We've found some people just want to pop into virtual environments to chat and to learn together without that formal office hours label. We all need assistance in our journey into virtual spaces. So whether you're calling it mentoring or reference services in the library or office hours, we invite you to add the times that you're available. And we also have added what we have come to call cross-community campfire chats. people like to come hang out at a campfire. So 4C, cross-community campfire chats. And this is a way for us to have people come in world and chat around a campfire informally. Notice the 4C logo on the spreadsheet as well as on this slide for those types of chats. And this brings us to the big news. This is your takeaway for today. Drum roll. Here is the good news. This year, several education groups realized that we need to work together to share resources, to be aware of what's happening in education in virtual worlds, so we can work together to solve challenges. Yet their main goal of these educators who were all talking and collaborating was not to make more work for folks, because we are all already so very busy. The idea was not to reinvent the wheel, not to have a lot of meetings to have to attend. And that birthed the Virtual World Education Consortium. The Virtual World Education Consortium meets right here in Second Life in the space where Ellie and I are sitting, up in the sky above the Community Virtual Library. And we only have 4 meetings each year, quarterly. You are welcome to come to all of them or to send a representative from your virtual world group. We're developing tools to share resources, experiences, and skills. We're developing a database of groups and educators that use virtual worlds to teach. And we'd love to have you join us. And here's the mission of the Virtual World Education Consortium. The Virtual World Education Consortium brings educators together to share what has been successful and to tackle obstacles across virtual platforms and communities for immersive learning. Through meeting quarterly, educational communities can collaborate and document progress on best practices for teaching and learning in virtual environments. Our next quarterly meeting will be held on July 7th right here at 9 a.m. Pacific time in this pavilion in the sky, and all are welcome to join us. My own research in virtual environments, like many of you over the past 15 years or so, has shown me the need to balance. That is a meta-modern skill as we oscillate between these so many environments and tools that we juggle, both in virtual life and in physical life. I am fascinated with meta-modern digital culture and changing literacy. That's my research focus. So I'll put in the text chat a link to my book on that topic, Metamodernism and Changing Literacy. I believe that only together can we navigate the many learning environments that are now available where students can learn and where we all live in the future of digital culture. So Ellie, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Val. So we will leave you with our contact information. It's up here on the slide, and invite you to connect with us and collaborate across virtual worlds. And so we'd like to open it up the floor for questions. Feel free to type in text chat or to use voice. Any questions? And thank you guys for being here.
Feel free to type your question if you choose, or I believe voice is open if you want to ask a question of us.
I know most of you, many of you are members of the consortium, and we appreciate you for that. Slide on. So we didn't pass out note cards today, which we know is normal communication behavior here in Second Life, because we are actually doing this for Verbella, and we do. So we don't have a note card, but we could certainly get something to you.
Yes. We do have
inside?
a note card about the consortium, and I can send that note card that tells you about the Virtual World Education Consortium. Let me drop that one,
Great.
and it tells about the next one, next meeting, and a bit about the consortium.
So Sidearm is wondering if what we have been talking about applies to your area of interest in regarding networking across a large number of different groups or worlds. How do you get organized? How do you network? Is this something that you need, do you feel?
I guess my question, to be specific, Val and Ellie, you just shared some kind of shared calendar thingy. What have you experimented with technology tools that has, and what have your, pros and cons, what's worked out well and what's kind of fallen flat on its face, and what do you think may work out well in the long run? Over.
Okay. I'll go first, Ellie, while you're thinking about that. That is one of the biggest challenges for the consortium is trying to figure out which tools for communication are best for everyone, because there are way too many tools out there for networking and communication. So as we go along with these quarterly meetings, we're going to be trying to tackle that. And here's an example. Not everybody's on Facebook or Twitter or Discord. Not everybody reads their notices inside virtual worlds like Second Life across different platforms. But I've come to realize that the one thing that everyone on the planet has is email. Because in order to sign up for any one of those things, you have to have an email address. So that's why we really recommend using the Metaverse Libraries Google group, because you will get email. You might miss notices, you might miss tweets, you might miss posts, you might miss, all the Discord channels you have. But even with that, your email gets so cluttered. I can barely keep, there's that whole concept of zero inbox. Oh, that's a fantasy. I can't keep mine under, several hundred all the time that I'm trying to either file or delete. But I don't know about you, but that is one place that we all have. But I think that would make a great topic for the consortium to discuss, is how do we network with our tools when there's just way too many? Anything about that you're thinking of, Ellie?
Well, yes, actually, you covered it well, Val, but one of the things that we ran into, because our goal was to bring folks together, we keep hearing that there are all these separate groups and a lot of them are doing redundant things, and not to say that they can't do their own thing, but if something was happening in a different group, they might not know about it. So we started with literally contacting people with a note card here in Second Life, and as we grew faster than we expected, which was lovely. That's a big plus. But then trying to connect people with a note card here in World became an arduous task. And that's when we started looking for, what other tool are we going to be able to use? And everyone is using everything, as Val said. We also did run into the fact that many of us mostly overuse Google Docs for a collaborative document, and what we found is that there are still people out there who are very challenged by Google Docs, who might not want to have a Google account. Not that you can't use them with that. You don't have to have just a Google account, but most people use a Google account, and so even Google Docs, which we all felt like was something everyone was using, was not necessarily the case. So yes, I agree. We are still looking for that perfect tool, and I don't think it exists out there.
Right. But I think it's all of these things also are evolving. So not only can you not find the best tool, but those tools are all changing all the time and updating, and and so I think that's just something we all have to live with in digital culture. But I put in text chat, that's the goal of this space, is to have a space to sort of share those resources in one location that you can go to, as well as on our website. And that too will probably evolve and change, but at least we can try to point in the direction of where those changes are going.
Oh yes, Val. So I think you've really hit the main points on that. So we know that people like to have things dropped in their lap, so email is perfect. And then having a place to come to get the resources, that's what the Pavilion is as well. And we are looking for all different tools. We'll probably have to use many. And a website is perfect as well. Yeah.
Right. And I was thrilled that the consortium chose the Community Virtual Library to be that hub on our website. And it makes perfect sense because the library of the future is really virtual and digital. Most content on the planet is born digital, not born in print. So this is the library of the future, and it's like, we want the Community Virtual Library to figure out how to do that. And we're all learning this together, and I'm really glad they chose to be in the sky right above the library.
I think everyone needs to hang out with librarians.
Well, I'll ask another question. So you guys are here presenting as part of the Immersive Learning Research Network, iLRN, which is, as I understand it, primarily meeting and conferencing in Virbela, which is one virtual environment. Then they have what they call something like adventures in other virtual environments, such as Second Life, where we are here. The thing is, in my experience of these different conferences that are trying to, well, they are being held in different virtual worlds, like Allspace VR, etc. They've all woken up to the fact that they can't stare at their belly buttons and say, we'll only have conferences in Allspace VR, or we'll only have conferences in Virbela because that's where it's at. They're realizing that, especially because of the last year of lockdown, people are trying all the virtual environments. And once they find one, they tend to stick with it. Either they give up in disgust and never come back again, or they say, this is the one. So if you are in virtual environment X, like Second Life, or Y, like Virbela, or Allspace VR, Z, how are you going to network with the people that aren't there? That's my question.
Yeah, great question. And that we put the spreadsheet there. That's that juggling act. You cannot be everywhere, but you can be aware, and we can document and share and record what we've done in one environment and share it toward another. But it is impossible to be active in all of these different spaces. But you also, we didn't put who to contact if you want to be part of the Exploder Club, because in order to be aware of these, you kind of need to go and visit and see what's out there and compare. So I'm going to put Marie Vance's email in the text chat too. You could email Marie Vance if you are interested in coming to other environments and checking them out. We recently did a presentation in AltSpace VR on the fact that there are headset worlds and desktop VR. And currently, most of us agree that desktop VR has way more advantages than headset VR, including cost effectiveness, for students. And we don't even know what those VR headsets do to the human brain. So I have one, I use it, but I'm not putting it on my grandchild.
And I agree with Val. I think she's hit the high points on that. I will also say that we're educators, and so there are lots of people out there that are not just in the education world, but are also interested in virtual environments. And so I think you just have to, it isn't going to happen magically for you, and that is the reason we're setting up what we have to try to bring people together so we can share our experiences, and we say ad nauseum, not reinvent the wheel. So thank you for asking that question. It's a great one, Sidearm. And I agree with you that people stay where they're comfortable.
Yes,
So we have to
yes.
go to them.
And you also, it really does hit home what we're trying to say here. It's communities of people that are the real resources of the future. Because if you look online, anything you ask, you're going to get a million hits. How are you going to find the real answer you're looking for? You know, it's, you have to have a community that you trust. And it's because we're in it together. Nobody can do these things alone. And that's the point of the consortium, because data is not the thing. There's way too much data out there. People are more important than data.
I have a couple of things I'd like to throw in, if I might.
Please, Kaya.
All right, thank you. First of all, yes, all of those social medias I have fought since Facebook first came out, and I went on it for a couple of weeks, and I thought, what a waste of time this is. I've got my email, I don't need anything else, and I've only recently gone back in the last couple of weeks because I've gotten together in reality with a group of musicians, and they're all on Facebook. So I've been forced to join Facebook, but they've twisted my arm. Here in Second Life, which is really the only thing that I'm involved in, I'm in the poetry and stroke writing community, and they have something called the Apple, which is put together by Planex North Mead, and they are available for everyone, and it has a weekly roster of events, and it's very handy. If you're in a group that you will get an apple each week or every couple of weeks, and that will tell you everything that's going on, and I recommend it as a very useful thing to do. It's just basically it's a big note card that you can pass out to all your members. And also I want to say I've just put an exhibition in a place called the Poetry Cove, which has just started a presence here in Second Life, and they're online and they're new and they're hoping for big things. And the fellow that's organizing it is talking about a 24/7 radio station for poetry, and I've been thinking about it a bit because we haven't actually talked about it. It seems like a big ask to get that much material on an ongoing basis, but we shall see what happens with that. I'm offering my services for that online radio. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaya. Great recommendations, and we need to get connected with you, it sounds like.
Yes, anyone is, welcome to join the consortium. There is a group joiner right over above the bookcase there. You'll see on the bookcase to my right, to your left, VWEC, touch the sign to join the group. You're welcome to come to our quarterly sessions, the next one being in July on the 7th.
Great comments happening in the chat.
We're really glad that some of you chose to come into Second Life, even though the majority of the iLRN conference is held in Verbella. And it's interesting that, as we said, I like that Eclectic mentioned that he really liked that saying, and where is it up there, about you can't be everywhere, but you need to be aware, because these platforms are all changing. And so, we can't just say, I'm only going to be in this one platform forever. We don't know if it's even going to be here 10 years from now. And I like thinking about how flexibility and adaptability are the top skills for students to have today, because everything is constantly changing.
Thank you guys so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Great conversation, and we certainly it doesn't end here. It's just beginning, isn't it? So thank you so much.